As parents today, most of us are aware of the negative impact that screens can have on our children, in particular their behaviour and their interaction with other people. I mean, think of your own household and the sort of conflicts that you have, and think about how many of those little arguments and meltdowns are actually caused by screen, or maybe stopping the screen or taking the screen away. So the key to managing this is to communicate with your child and be clear about what your values are. Why is it you don't want them to be on a screen for a certain amount of time? Why is it you don't want them to use certain programs or play on certain games? And again, this is going to be so different for individual families, depending on your values and your experience, and also depending on the age of your children. So you need to think about what it is that's important to you. And if you understand those values and you've got them clear in your head, so for example, I don't want my children using a game that involves a lot of violence and shooting, because I personally find that that is not something I want to encourage in my children. That's my personal opinion, and that's my value, and that is what I will say to my children if they're asking if they can go on and play that kind of game. I will say, I don't really want you doing that, because that, to me, I don't like violence, and I don't really want to encourage violent behaviour, even if it is just online. I know no one's getting hurt, but that's my opinion. So you have your value, and be clear about that, and make sure that that is what's driving your rules, not just because, well, I just know I know you shouldn't be on there. So it's thinking about what it is that's important to you, and then bounding that up in your rules. You also want to make sure that you designate screen-free times and zones. And again, that can be discussed with your children. So you can say, we're not going to have screens at the table when we're eating as a family, because we want to talk to each other, we want to make eye contact with each other, and we want to enjoy our time as a family. You may also say, we're not going to have them in your bedroom, because we know that that light it kind of restricts the blue light behind a screen, restricts the release of melatonin, which is like the sleepy hormone. So you can explain that to your child. Say, this is why I want you to have a good night's sleep, so you're fresh for the next day. So I don't want you to be using screens at night time. Again, individual families have their own ways of using things, and you have to be clear about what you want, and then set that out with your children. Talk with your children, explain that to them. And also you need to acknowledge the positives of screen time, so that they don't see you just saying, oh, it's all negative, I don't want you on there. Explain, I know that it can be really nice for you to play games, I know it can be really nice for you to watch television, I know you enjoy doing this and that, and communicating with friends. So you're not just focusing on the negative things. Then you need to agree a schedule, and you need to write it down. Again, this is age appropriate. So if you've got younger children, you're going to be setting out as a timetable for them. Older children, you can still have that timetable, but it might not be quite so visual. And it's those things that are agreed. And then you can look at it and say, okay, I'm happy with that. The next thing, once you've got your schedule in place of when you're going to use the screens, when the children are going to use the screens, you need to agree a start date. So we're not going to necessarily say, right, from now, no one's using screens. You can say, okay, so from Saturday or from after the holiday, this is what's going to happen. I know that in my house, we used to watch, the kids used to watch a lot of television on Saturday mornings and Sunday mornings. And to be honest, it was convenient to my husband and I. We wanted to sit and have a coffee, have our own breakfast. We didn't really want to, start the day that early, so the kids would watch TV. And then we just became aware that time was building up. They were watching, what started at maybe they were getting up earlier and, the hours were building up, and they were sometimes watching much more television than we were comfortable with. So we said to them, okay, so from next week, there's not going to be any television in the mornings. Of course, they complained, and of course, they kept asking, but we stuck by it, and we said, because we want to make sure that you are ready to start your day. When you've watched TV, you're still very sleepy, and it's a lot of time that we'd rather get out and get the day started. And they understood that, and they've got used to that now, and they actually don't ask to watch TV at the weekends in the morning anymore. They kind of go off and do their own thing straight after breakfast, because we've stuck with that, and that routine has continued. So it's having that structure, having that schedule, but most importantly, knowing in your heart your reasons for doing that. Why are you doing that? What is guiding your rules and your values? What's behind it, so that you know that you're confident and you've made the right choices.